It's a pleasure to have you here and for me to present you the newest developments of the ISO 8100 series. Let me first technique is not working. In the meantime, and dance a little. Yeah, but it doesn't forward. It's not forwarding. Yeah, let's wait. I'm no problem.
Or the guy.
The guy has already tried taking. Yeah, he's on the way. I hope that it will work. No problem. Okay, and this is pointing. This. Ah, very small. Okay, so it looks like we can start now. First of all, I would like to say ah. So first of all, please let me introduce myself, Achim Hütter, from 1989 till 2013. I was the owner and CEO of my own company in Hamburg, Germany. I skipped some of them, but more important at the moment, I'm a member of TC10. That's a European standardization organization. Also, I'm the convener of WG9, which deals with inclined lifts. And in this regard, we have been working for the development of a new code for the last years. Why it's so important? Why it's so important? And you see here the acceptance of 81 EN 8120 and 50, which has been developed in 2014. You see the dark blue countries here, they have accepted EN 8120 50 fully. You see the light blue countries, and they have been accepted the EN 8120 50 in almost the same form. Maybe they have made some adaptations, but is the basis of the norms in that country. Only the green and the red countries are using different codes for elevators at the moment, and that's why it's very relevant to introduce a new standard. I'm still. So therefore, the development of a new ISO standard is just a logical consequence. The EN 8120 50 had been in place since 2014, so it's more than 10 years old. There have been new developments on technical side, but also we have seen accidents which we have been looking at, and therefore the norm is to be upgraded. It's at the moment the largest standardization project in the elevator industry, and in the end of 2023, there was a first vote on this new ISO standard, and in the first vote, you're allowed to provide comments. So we received 2,748 comments on that norm. Quite a lot. It's not usually a lot, but this is because formerly only European countries could comment, but now we have 19 countries who have been commented on on the norm. That's why we have that many. So the last year we have been working in addressing all the comments, changing the norms, and here you see who's participating on this norm. It's first you have the ISO level. It's the ISO TC 178, which is responsible for lifts and escalators in the world. Argentina and Brazil are members in this, and they work together with the European standardization organization, which you see here. The dark blue are the European countries, and the light blue are affiliates. Where are we standing now? At the moment, you see we are here. We are almost finishing the standard. We're just addressing some editorial comments, and then it will be prepared for final vote. And in September, we will go to final vote, both in CEN and on ISO level. There will be the voting process for this. Now, in this voting process, you cannot give any comments anymore. It will be just a yes or no vote you can give. We think and we hope that we will have approval on ISO on the CEN level. Then, by the end of the year, we think that the ISO will be published by ISO, and then it's up to the national standardization bodies and legislators how they will introduce the new norm into their countries. I know that, for example, Brazil is taking over the norm. I don't know about the time frame, but maybe Fabio can say something about that later on. Then we have a second process, because the process in Europe runs a little different. In Europe, the norm has to be cited by the official journal of the European Union before it gets into action. Normally this is a process which takes about 2 to 6 months. So we think that about by mid of July we have the norm in Europe as well. At the moment we have a 24-month transition period, but we just voted last week to extend that to 36 months to give more room. After these 36 months, the norm will be obligatory in Europe. I just don't want to confuse you, but I just want to show you the red boxes here. These are the norms which will, additionally to the ISO norm, will be developed in parallel and after the ISO norm. We have here the 120015 and 16 are electromagnetic compatibility. We will have up there, you see the ISO 812-20, which covers cybersecurity, which has been a big impact in Europe in the last years, to make sure that the elevators cannot be compromised from outside. Furthermore, we have some supplementary EN norms which will be developed out at 21 for lifts in existing buildings, 22 for inclined lifts, 70 for handicapped, 72 firefighting, 73 is vandalism, and 77 is the norm for lifts in earthquake areas. So there's not only one norm we are preparing some of them. So what are the main points which are new in compared to the EN 8120? First of all, there was a requirement from the European Union to eliminate all requirements concerning the building into this norm. This is due to the fact that all the countries have national building regulations, and so they don't conflict with each other. We had to omit all the requirements. You find them now in a new chapter, chapter number 7, and in an annex, which is normative Annex B. Then you have a lot of technical additions or changes. For example, vertical doors are introduced. They have been introduced already in the EN 81 2050, but only briefly, and now it's they're very complex, integrated in this norm. We have new suspension means, carbon reinforced cables are introduced, and of course, vice versa, their testing methods. Automatic emergency release. So you will be able, in certain circumstances, to drive your elevator to a safe or to release people who are trapped in a stalled elevator automatically without sending a mechanic to site. Only, of course, in certain circumstances, and it must be safe. Elevators with traction elevators with increased usable area. We have already that's already valid for hydraulic lifts at the moment in EN 81 2050, but it was not for traction lifts. This has been enhanced to give that possibility also for traction lifts. Then we have for electrical safety, we have defined all the SIL rating new from SIL 1 to SIL 4, and if some companies the pit this has been integrated as well. Then this has been the preventing of hands being drawn into the doors have been introduced also, but now the requirements have been increased. I will come to that example later on. Compensating devices, we have additional requirements for the brake when they reach the overload limits. Very important for the brake manufacturers, but for the controller manufacturers as well. We have a complete new chapter of monitoring brakes. Gonna be very interesting for controller manufacturers. So this is a really new part, totally new. I think we spoke at length over weeks about ladders in the pit. It sounds very trivial, but it has been a long discussion, and this chapter has been new. Electrical cables and fire, and I've brought an example. Travel beyond final limit switch. If you reach the final limit of the travel of an elevator, you will be now allowed to go a bit further with the inspection control to reach service areas for repair or maintenance areas. I will skip this because this is just the part for testing the elevator. This has been, of course, all the verification methods for the items I have described earlier are reflected in EN 81, in ISO 8100-2. I have an example here for the increased area of a traction elevator in the new norm. You see here that normally for a traction elevator, if you have the rated load is 400 kilo, the only allowed space is 1.17 meters, square meters. But according to table 7, you're allowed to increase this by little more than 40% to 1.68 square meters. The same for the 1500 kilo increase, the space can be increased from 3.4 to 4.8 meters. But to do that, if you want to do that, you have to take into calculation the higher load, the higher value. If you have, for example, handling devices which go into the car or exit the car, you have to take this load of the handling device into calculation. You are not allowed to exceed table 7. This is clear, but also you have to take into account the car, the sling, the guide rails, safety gear, and all the other things have to be calculated according to a higher load. That would be, if you look here, 4.8 square meters would almost be in this area. So you have to calculate the lift for almost 2,500 kilos to be on the safe side. The other thing I mentioned is terminal stops. You are allowed to take the inspection control to go onto the limit switch. You're going to release the inspection control, and then you press again, and then you're allowed to continue your travel beyond the final limit switches with a speed of 0.50 meters per second to reach areas which you need to reach in maintenance and repair conditions. Of course, I have mentioned that we had a lot of accidents we have been looking at where hands were drawn into the sides of between the door leaves or the leaf and the frame, and there's been a lot of accidents with adults but also with children. And to reduce that risk, the gap was reduced. Previously, we had 6 millimeter allowance for a gap, and now it's only 5 millimeters. Even more, if the lift is in service for a few years, and we have tear and wear, there was formerly it was an allowance of 10 millimeters, and now it's reduced to 8 millimeters. For children's fingers, if children are putting their hands to a glass door and the door opens, and so that to prevent that the fingers are drawn into the gap, there will be detecting devices which will prevent these things from happening. Also, the horizontal distances in the shaft have been reduced. Formerly, we had 15 centimeters, as you've seen here, 15 centimeters were allowed for the gap L1, which is here. And this has been reduced to 12 centimeters, and I1 has reduced from 12 to 10 centimeters. This is also because what happened in this space here was 15 centimeters, but we have little children that had been there, and there were deadly accidents in this gap, so it was reduced. So the question is, I mean, I can't get through all the changes here today. Sorry for that. It would be like a day or maybe two to get through to all the changes of this norm. But I just wanted to tell you how we as VFA or ELA, the European Association, will be approached. How do we get the information about all the changes out to the elevator community? And the first thing what VFA is doing, we will make a comparison. English, German, the old EN 81 2050, and the same. The German version is not there yet, so it's missing, but we're going to add that. So we will have full transparency, paragraph by paragraph. You're going to see what are the difference. You see here in blue, we see this had been changed, so we know exactly what to do. I mean, it's a big process, but this is something we will do because we think that it's very important, especially for component manufacturers, small and medium companies, that they fully understand and be able to access this information, because normally it's only the big companies who are sitting in these meetings for standardization. I can tell you, the WG1, we normally had 40 persons in the meetings, and we had 2 from small and medium companies. The rest was the big guys. So it's important that we as associations do something for our members, that they also be knowledge about all the changes which we see. So this is one thing what we do. Also, just recently, I was appointed by the European Lift Association to set up equivalent what we had done before. When in 2014, the EN 811 changed to EN 8120, there was like it's a PowerPoint presentation which has more than 100 pages, and they're really chapter by chapter. They were shown the differences, and this has been done by some European experts, and we are trying to make the same. And it should be ready hopefully by the end of the year. So the same time the ISO will be published, we hope that we're gonna have something like this. And one thing more, VFA will have seminars and lectures for our members. It will be like 1 day or 2 where we present them all the changes and show them how they could tackle these changes at its best. And with I just want to tell you where you may find more information. There's a very good article from Fabio, the December 24 version of the Elevator Brazil, but also some more informations you can find here on the QR codes for ISO and CEN. And with that, muito obrigado por sua atenção.